What's going on, guys, and welcome back to another video, and welcome to your stimulus package update and daily news report for Wednesday, March 23rd. So we have a lot of stuff to discuss right now because President Biden's options are actually very limited. But Democrats are wanting President Biden to do more to prove to the American people that they did not lie and that President Biden was the right choice. So in today's video, we're going to talk about the stimulus package, what we are seeing there, the midterm elections. There's a lot more discussions coming up about what Democrats have to do to make sure they do not lose the House and the Senate. We got to talk about President Biden's economic agenda, what Democrats are pushing and really urging President Biden to do. And also I want to give you some daily news as well regarding COVID. We have not talked much about COVID lately, and here's the issue. And I think this is very strange, but just because there is a Russian invasion over in Ukraine or a war, nobody, or at least not many people, are talking about COVID. Like COVID just completely went away. Now, COVID didn't go away. We are still dealing with it. We have a new BA.2 variant that is 50% more contagious than Omicron, yet news reports aren't really out there about, hey, watch out for COVID. Which is interesting because, well, the American people are tired of COVID, so the media stops talking about it. But it is still an issue. So we will get to that in just a minute. And as always, I just want to thank you guys for continuing to support me here on this channel. Always leaving a like and also making sure you comment if you have any questions. But let's get right into the update. Because here's what we know. President Biden's approval ratings keep on falling. And according to a new poll by Reuters and Ipsos, they are saying that he has reached a new low in 40% approval. Now, this has got Democrats scrambling to try and secure something to prove to the American people that this past year hasn't been a waste. And it's not just full of unfulfilled lies, that they are truly trying to do something to provide more relief and a better life for the American people. Well, Democrats understand that gas prices are likely to continue rising. And the reason they haven't really risen over the past week is because China's been locked down. But once China opens back up, we see more, or the lockdowns really expire. What's going to happen is the demand for gas is going to go up worldwide, which means gas prices and oil are likely to increase as well. We also know that Democrats understand that inflation is being handled. They say that the Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell have made it very clear that inflation is being handled, but it will take longer than originally anticipated due to the fact that the Russia invasion into Ukraine started after we were already expecting to see inflation peak. That's a huge issue, but Democrats say they're on it. Democrats are also urging President Biden to help get all 50 Senate Democrats on board with Biden's economic agenda. Whether he has the power to do that, honestly, I don't know. But we will see. Now, here's the issue with everything that I just said. The White House has publicly stated that all the cards are on the table for reducing the pain at the pumps. They are open to the idea of any proposal that comes in, whether it's giving a stimulus check to the American people, giving a gas card to the American people, cutting and getting rid of the gas tax and providing a gas tax holiday. They're open to all of it. Okay? Every single thing. Now, here's the problem. Congress doesn't support some of these ideas. Congress doesn't approve of some of these different proposals. And that's making it very difficult because some lawmakers have an idea, but they do not want to propose something that is going to be shot down. They don't want to. And without the support of Congress, these proposals are not going anywhere. That's a huge issue. What we also know, inflation is expected to go higher. Now, we don't know how high inflation is expected to go, but with rising gas prices, food getting more expensive, rents going up, housing still increasing, inflation doesn't look like it's going to drop anytime soon. And that's creating a huge concern for many fixed income individuals and lower income households. Now, because inflation is expected to get worse, American consumers are buying more now in hopes that they save a little bit of money. And you're probably thinking this is a smart thing to do. I'm going to buy everything I need today because I know tomorrow or in a week or in a month it's going to be more expensive. Well, guess what? You're right. It will get more expensive. Here's the reason why. When consumers buy more today, that looks like demand is increasing, but supply is staying the same. What we need to have happen is supply to actually increase, demand to stay the same. Okay? If this happens, prices will start to fall. But we cannot get supply to increase if we don't have the workload to support that. That's a huge issue. In regards to all 50 Senate Democrats getting on board and passing President Biden's economic agenda, well, to me, in my honest opinion, I don't think this is going to happen at this time. Could it? Possibly. Will it? I don't think so. Because there is some support right now for things like climate, but lawmakers do not want to pass a climate proposal when everything else is pretty much going to be, on the outside. They're going to have to leave everything else out, and doing so, many lawmakers say we don't want to pass climate because that's what's bringing everybody together. That has that bipartisan support. So there is some support for things like the child tax credit payments as well. But Democrats say that they can't include this into any proposal at this time simply because we know that Republicans want work requirements. That's the only way that's going to get the support. And that's also one of the things that Democrat Senator Joe Manchin wants as well. And so when one of your senators is wanting that exact same thing, it's not going to pass unless that gets put in. But Democrats say, no, we can't do that because it leaves out a bunch of people who would not get the support. So we'll see what happens there. We also know there's bipartisan support for universal pre-K as well. But here's the thing. Lawmakers say they don't want to pass this as a single bill because it will leave the rest to die, which is true. It's the same thing that I just discussed regarding climate. You leave that alone and you pass it as a standalone bill. That's great, but that's also one of the things that's bringing people together. So that's the issue we're having at this time. And currently, President Biden, he doesn't need the approval of Congress to pass student debt forgiveness. And this is causing another huge issue as well, because some Democrats are saying, you have this option right here. You have the ability to do this. Why don't we do it? What are we waiting for? And that's the issue, is that many are expecting President Biden to get closer to midterm elections, or at least after May 1st. Then he will either extend the payment pause past May 1st, possibly 2 to 3 months. And then as we get closer to that election, the midterm election, then President Biden will say, you know what, let's do student debt forgiveness of $10, maybe even $20 or $50,000. That would be great because guess what? It would make it seem like Democrats had a huge win right before the election. But here's the issue with that. If Democrats or President Biden were to do an executive order to forgive up to $10,000 or $50,000 in student debt, here's what this does. This leaves out a large group of people, a large group of voters who Democrats deem essential in the upcoming midterm elections. Who are they? The elderly, people on Social Security. This is a huge issue because President Biden promised two things. Well, he promised a bunch of things, but two main things that he hasn't delivered on: student debt forgiveness and $200 per month to Social Security recipients. Guess what? If he does one and doesn't do the other, guess what's going to happen? People that were supposed to get that $200 per month, those Social Security recipients, will most likely vote against Democrats. That is not something Democrats want. Now, in other news, Senator Schumer, Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer, has stated that there is bipartisan support to provide better service to those needing medication. Now, one thing that lawmakers are planning to do is negotiate prescription drug costs. That's something we've heard over the past few months. That is something that they are adamant about passing. But another huge deal is we now have bipartisan support to actually pass something that would include a cap on insulin at just $35. That's something that we saw in the previous Build Back Better Act as well, that capping insulin at $35. Now, right now, there's bipartisan support for this. And according to Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer, he says, and I quote, "I intend to put that bill on the floor as soon as possible after Easter recess." Now, Easter is on April 17th this year, so we will likely not even see this bill hit the floor of the Senate until the end of April. Okay, the very end of April, that would be my expectation. So we'll see what happens there, but the good news is there is some talks and bipartisan support on this. How much bipartisan support? Honestly, we don't know, but I will keep you updated as soon as we do. Now, let's talk about COVID. And I know a lot of people have been asking and wondering, hey, what's going on with COVID? Nobody's talking about it. Well, it's still here. And the truth is that the BA.2 variant is now more contagious than Omicron, and researchers say it's more contagious by about 50%. Now, with that, the White House is extremely worried because they have exhausted all their funds to buy the 4th COVID doses of this vaccine for every single person here in the United States. Now, currently, there's enough funding to provide a 4th dose of the vaccine for Americans 65 years and older, and provide the initial dose, because remember, we still haven't received this yet. We haven't got approval from the FDA to provide an initial dose of this vaccine for children under the age of 5 and under. Now, once this is authorized, the White House does say they do have the funding to provide the first initial dose for free, and the 4th dose for people 65 years and older. But outside of that, the funding has dried up. We have nothing, and Congress doesn't look like they're going to pass anything at this moment. Now, the problem is Congress has yet to agree on a new round of funding. As of right now, the new funding could be packaged into another relief bill that could also include stimulus or something else as well that right now could evolve around the COVID funding package. Now, this would be a much smaller bill because the expectation is the COVID funding is only going to be around that $15.6 billion range. So we'll see what happens there. But the good news is, at this time, is that at least we now have the report that, yes, the White House has been kind of misleading us, saying that they do have the funding when initially that's what they said. But now it's like we don't have the funding. So the good news is at least we're being told the truth. Now, the truth is hard to hear because this is not what we wanted, but at the same time, at least we have the facts. And I think that's really what Congress wants, because that's what Republicans wanted is, tell us where that money went. Tell us exactly how much money you have. Well, if they're telling us they don't have the money, they just don't have the money. So we'll get answers on that very soon. Now, this morning, we also learned that Moderna's CEO says that their vaccine for children under the age of 6 years old is actually providing a strong initial result. Now, due to these results and the increased COVID cases that we're seeing lately, according to Moderna, they will be submitting their data to regulators here in the US to hopefully get approval. And this will likely come within the next few weeks. So that is good news there. But that's what we know regarding COVID, stimulus, regarding what's going on with President Biden, the White House, and President Biden's economic agenda. As always, as I know more, I promise I will bring you all the latest news and updates. I just want to again thank you guys for watching. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Consider subscribing, and I'll see you guys on the next one.